Today, it seems we're more willing than ever to embrace businesses and let them into our lives, even as they're gathering data while they power our everyday routines. But this does demand a heightened responsibility, a new form of social contract between the companies providing those services and their customers, employees, governments, and partners. For those companies getting it right, there's massive opportunity ahead. But is business ready? I'm talking to Paul Doherty, Michael Biltz, Marc Carrel-Billiard, and Elise Cornille. Paul, the Intelligent Enterprise Unleashed, what does that mean? What is the new kind of relationship that businesses are seeing with not just their customers, but actually even their own employees and other groups in society?
What the Intelligent Enterprise Unleashed means is that that's creating a new obligation for companies and a new opportunity for companies to engage with people differently. And it's also, the obligation part of it is that to interact with consumers in their home, talking to your device on your kitchen counter, you need a different level of trust with consumers if you're going to expect them to trust you, let you into their home, so to speak, which you are in reality doing, and provide access to services. And engendering that trust in an era where that technology becomes that pervasive is that new level of responsibility that we're talking about, or new level of obligation with the intelligent enterprise. The opportunity is that as you engender that degree of trust and that degree of interaction with consumers and with your workers, it opens up a whole new world of opportunity for new services, more powerful ways of working with people than what you had previously.
And I guess some companies have been really, really good at that. So I'm thinking Amazon, for example, where actually we have built up such a deep embedded relationship with them that we are trusting them more and more, to the extent that they recently launched Amazon Key, where you can literally give the driver access to your home. You're letting somebody into your, literally physically letting them into your home. It's a great metaphor, I guess, for this new deepening relationship.
Where we see things moving is that companies are starting to redefine what their relationships are with people. And I don't just mean consumers, but consumers, government, your employees, society in general. And more companies are seeing the advantage of earning that trust and are starting to change from where they currently are to really looking for partnerships. And so there's a different impression and a different trust level that people will give you if they feel like that you're on their side. And that's just it, is that if you have a company that you're always worried is trying to take advantage of you, every little step that they try to make, every piece of information they grab about you, even if it's for your own benefit or to give you a new service, is that you're going to distrust. But once you become that trusted member of the family that says, my nieces and nephews use Alexa as often as their parents in order to ask questions, now I can start to do different things that says, let's get rid of the problems I have with my supply chain, one of them being packages stolen, package left on the door, by doing something as simple as giving the key, but that key is more of a symbol of your trust than anything else.
So I guess what we're talking about here is a new form of social contract, but that's very much a relationship built on trust, isn't it? How do companies make sure that they go about earning that trust?
I mean, there's a survey that we just released, which is very interesting because it's not so much about the numbers, which is important. It's just to understand exactly where it goes. But in fact, to say that, let's say that the company says like, okay, Rich, I'm going to take your data for a service that I'm providing you. But with your data, I'm going to study your profile and I'm going to enhance this service. I'm going to make just a better service for you. And you get my guarantee that basically this data will stay in my company with all the security, safety that we need. And so basically I will not release that to someone else. Most of the time, 80% of people say, okay, I'm fine, because it's going to serve me. Now, eventually, if the same company say, well, you know what? I mean, this data, eventually, I'm going to provide that to other providers who are working with me to provide this service. Well, then it drops like dramatically. I mean, it's just, and that says like it goes like to 40%. I mean, it's like it goes like to 10%, something like that. So you see there's a big difference between the know-how, so people know and they trust the company. They say, okay, I can deal with this company. But eventually, I mean, if the company is basically using my data for doing some other stuff and I don't understand exactly what it's going to be used for, then basically I don't trust it anymore. And that's going to have a direct impact in terms of the service you're going to provide.
So as companies become more embedded into our lives, I suppose they need to rethink internally how they approach this. We're seeing the rise of whole policy units, ethical officers at companies. What is the best way to approach this?
I think first it is having an organization whose responsibility is to understand how the innovations, the services that they are developing will impact policy and regulations and things like privacy, right? The competitiveness and different groups like that. I think secondly, you need to employees need to understand that it's not just someone else's job. Right? Within the company, as all of the employees, you have an obligation to ensure that we're behaving ethically, that we are, serving our customers in a transparent and honest way.
Yeah, you're representing the brand, and it's not just a brand providing a product or a service.
Right.
It's something that's deeply embedded into people's lives.
It's becoming very much, companies are becoming very much about lifestyle. They are becoming a part of your lifestyle. And when you're part of someone's life in their lifestyle, there is an element of responsibility that comes along with that, and also authenticity, being clear about that. I think I would also add that companies, you'll see more and more, Facebook and others are forming partnerships and consortia to, as an industry, help proactively address policy considerations, privacy and other issues that are arising, that technology is outpacing government's ability and regulators' ability to understand the impact. There's something called the Partnership on AI that we've recently joined that's looking at those questions with other like-minded companies.
So, just give me a very brief outline of how the trends that you've gleaned this year all tie together.
Yeah, we've really covered a huge expanse in the vision this year. Everything from citizen AI to the frictionless business to data veracity and other things along the way. And if I think about the key message coming out of the vision for me this year, it's in some trend forecasts and in some of the vision reports we've done, you can see the destination of where we're headed toward. I think the difference with the vision this year and a key takeaway is that this isn't about a destination, it's about a journey. We're in a period of innovation, a continual innovation, and this is about developing the innovation architecture in your organization, the innovation muscles, so to speak, that's going to help you ingest and thrive regardless of what innovation comes along, and figure out how do you capitalize on that in your business.